Yes, I'm going to start by introducing myself, and I also, since we're running a little bit late, I'll do that, and we probably won't do the going through the room today, but normally we do. So, but we can do that at the end if we have time. So anyway, I'm Nancy Bermeau, and myself and Jen Springer are the two newest members of the steering committee of LACC. We want to welcome you all here this morning. We're excited today because we have two presentations from both the AAUW and the League of Women Voters, which are two of our participating organizations who participate with our group, which is the Community Coalition. So while we're getting ready, I just wanted to go over what our future meetings consist of. So in 2 weeks from today, right here in this room, Joe Iyer from the Los Altos Community Foundation is going to be here, and many of you know Joe. Probably everyone knows that he's stepping away and retiring from the Community Foundation, so he's coming here to join us in 2 weeks to talk about how the Community Foundation has evolved over the last several years and what future direction it's heading in. So that's going to be a great meeting. On October 4th, we actually have a change and an update for you. On October 4th, LASD is coming in to talk about their community engagement process regarding the 10th site. So that is going to be very important. They're getting ready to roll out some community charettes where they're going to be getting input from the community. So on the 4th, they'll be talking about the scenarios which have already been considered for the 10th site, the community engagement process, and how we as the community can get involved. And then on October 16th, we're working on an event with Spur. That'll be an evening event, so we'll be updating you on that. So those are our future meetings. And then right now, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our two groups, and then we'll deal with our AV as necessary. So this morning, again, we're really excited to welcome both League of Women Voters and American Association of University Women. We're starting with the League, I believe. So I'd like to start by introducing Lisa McLain. Lisa is the current president of our Los Altos chapter. And I know a lot of people are familiar with the League, but if you're not, the League is as a political organization, encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences policy through education and advocacy. The goal of the League of Women Voters is to empower citizens to shape better communities worldwide. And Lisa, who joined the League in 2016 after the election, joined because of her concern about our voting rights. She's been on the board for the past 2 years and organized the educational forum about the increasing number of RVs and campers on the streets of Mountain View. She handled the publicity for the election events, and her experience working in small business helps her to keep the League on track with the mission and goal to grow and become more representative of our community. So with that, I'd like to introduce Lisa, and everybody turns their phones off. Thank you. And that would include me.
Thank you all. Glad to be here. I'm the new president of the League of Women Voters of Los Altos Mountain View area, which I guess just means Los Altos Hills also, and though we do have members in Sunnyvale and Palo Alto and other places. One of the interesting things I will note about the League of Women Voters is that we are 99 years and 7 months old, which means we'll be celebrating our centennial, which I think actually falls on Valentine's Day next year, as well as a larger celebration of the 19th Amendment. Just for a little history, because I know I forgot a lot of my 19th Amendment women's suffrage history. California gave women the right to vote within the state in 1911. 8 years later, Congress passed the 19th Amendment, and in between Congress passing it and the last state to ratify it, the League of Women Voters was founded with the purpose of preparing women for the right to vote and to become more civically active. So who are we? We are, aside from the National League, more than 700 state and local leagues. Aside from the city leagues like Los Altos Mountain View, we have a county-wide association of leagues for handling county events, which Kathy Lazarus is the current president. And mainly that's around election-related events, because obviously elections are handled by the county. And we also are members of a Bay Area League, which discusses transportation issues, things that concern the greater Bay Area. We have over 400,000 members, and while we are the League of Women Voters, we have many very dedicated male members, like Gary, who's on our board. One thing that's important to know about the League is our work is nonpartisan. So while we may each feel very partisan about many issues and many candidates, when we work for the League, we do not take positions on candidates, for or against parties. One of the things I love about the League is our new motto, empowering voters, defending democracy. And personally, and I don't know that this is officially correct, I like to think of it as at the local level, we empower voters, and at the national level, we're defending democracy. So at the local level, what most people think of our work at election time, where we're educating voters. We hold candidate forums for all of the local city council races, school districts, El Camino Healthcare, Mid-Penn, water districts, and the Foothill Dianza. And we're very committed to trying to make those forums available, so we are videotaping them at a fair expense to us, so that people can watch them offline at their own convenience. We do pros and cons presentations. You may know Pete Stahl, and he does an unbiased analysis of the ballot initiatives, and will provide that so that you can hear both sides of the argument. And the state provides a voter's guide, which also has a pro-con analysis, but on certain issues the state will take a position of being for or against an initiative based on our state's positions, which, the League does have positions on certain issues. And in addition, we have a website, Voters Edge, which again, you can enter your address, pull up your ballot, you can see all the candidates and their information, as well as all the initiatives, state and local, that you would be voting on. And one of the things I especially like about Voters Edge is it tells who the contributors are. So for candidates, you get the top 5 contributors, and for initiatives, you get the top 10 contributors on either side of the issue. When we're not doing election-related events, we are registering new voters. And we're very excited, which I'm sure Claire will discuss later, that on the 17th, we're going into Los Altos High School, where we will be pre-registering all of the juniors in the U.S. history class. And we're working together with AAUW on that. And Claire is one of the co-chairs of our high school registration committee. We also advocate on certain issues. Locally, that would be affordable housing, primarily. And we encourage civic education and engagement through forums, through postings on our website, committees, and we even have a book club. On educational forums, last year we held a forum on the increasing number of RVs and campers that are on the streets of Mountain View. We had a representative of the city manager and the police department, as well as Tom Myers of CSA, and who together explained the different factors that were leading to why so many campers were basically living on Mountain View streets. And we had a good turnout. And we also had some homeless people, some of the vehicle dwellers, come and they spoke. They asked to speak. So that was a very successful forum. We are hoping that we can continue to do more educational forums around community issues, as well as we would like to start to have discussion forums where we pick a topic of local concern and have people break out into small groups and kind of brainstorm and discuss the issue to hopefully increase civil discourse. This is a particularly busy year. It's supposed to be our off year where we can focus on other things other than elections. But this year we have the Voters' Choice Act, which was recently passed by the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. So we will be voting differently. And I'm not sure if most of you know about that or not, but everybody gets their ballot in the mail. And there will be voting centers, polling places. The traditional polling places will be gone. And but the voting centers, some of them will open up 11 days before the election, and they will have a lot more services. They will have translators. You can get your individual ballot printed at the voting center, and you can actually register that day and get a provisional ballot without having to go down to the registrar of voters' office. Also, the 2020 census, which is a concern to all of us. We are going to help with outreach there and help people fill out the census, probably provide areas where people can go if they have any questions. We want all residents of California to be included in the census because those who aren't cost us $2,000 in federal funding. And also, possibly we might lose representation if all residents aren't counted. We have the Schools and Communities First initiative, which was on the ballot, and they pulled it to rewrite it slightly. And we're hoping to gather signatures to have that on the 2020 ballot. And the purpose of that is to tax businesses at fair market value, with 20% of the revenue going to schools and 60% to local governments. So you'll be hearing more about that. And additionally, there is the centennial celebration of the 19th Amendment, but also the League of Women Voters. And at the state and national level, the League works to protect our voting rights by fighting voter suppression, ensuring fair redistricting, and trying to get money out of politics. And they work a lot with leagues who, face it, California we're very fortunate. We love voters. We do everything we can to encourage voters. But there are states that voters have to struggle. And so the League works with those and tries to support the work of local leagues in helping their local voters in elections. So in summation, we encourage you to join us or donate or become involved in your community. What?
I just love the big
You like Uncle Sam?
It's a little harsh.
Thank you.
Lisa, are you going to take questions now?
Yes, I will stand aside and take questions so that you can come up and try to.
It's kind of a funny question, but
Yeah.
we are working, the League is working with the History Museum, and there will be a big exhibition next year.
That's right. I was going to mention that. I can't remember. Yeah, sorry.
It opens on July, weekend of July 4th, appropriate, and it'll carry right through the election in November, and it'll cover the history of the women's suffrage movement and some local stuff here in town. So the pitch to each of you is if you have any stories to share from your mothers or grandmothers, or we'd like that too, some local angles. That wasn't much of a question, was it?
That was good.
Yeah, we're hoping also to include a part of the event some local issues and where we are in voting rights, frankly, locally.
Start talking about that?
Oh.
What? Should I start talking? No.
Well, I was trying to step aside so that you could
Yeah,
try to.
There's a little bit of technical shifting happening to have.
Yeah,
We have
so.
someone who's
Yes.
So,
basic.
I've seen your debates, I've seen the Women's Caucus debates, and I've seen the other debates. And they're all structured around, you ask candidates the same question and they get a minute to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're all sort of soundbite answers, but there's no back and forth between the candidates to, click down on an issue. Have you thought about changing your format?
Have we?
Oh, you're looking at.
I'm looking at you because I don't have a deep history of this.
Visitor today.
No, she's a past president.
Well, also, I mean, we've got the primary in California now that's coming up in March, so things are going to get busy very, very quickly. The answer to that is no. And the reason being is that, you know, the league really wants to maintain its appearance of impartiality. And if you let two of the candidates kind of dominate and go after one another, that doesn't give the others an equal voice. I know we look at what's happening on some of these national debates, and they're always saying, well, which candidate had the most airtime? You know, the league doesn't really want to do that. They want, as much as possible, to level the playing field.
Maybe one of the other debates could.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If it's a non-league debate, absolutely. I think that would be great.
Any other questions?
So, when are your meetings, and how does somebody
Oh, that's
get
good.
involved in what you're doing?
You go to our website and you can sign up, or you can sign up and someone will contact you and talk to you. Sue Graham, who was our previous president, contacts everybody who is interested in becoming a member to find out what they're interested in and to connect them with the committee or the people who are running that area.
So there's not like a general monthly meeting?
There is a general board meeting, but to be honest, most people don't want to attend our board meeting. But we are starting to, we're having socials for members. So to try to get people together and create a little more synergy. And so if you're interested, I can tell you about our next social, which is at the end of this month.
Sure.
And
Please do. And just one other opportunity is periodically throughout the year, the leagues collaborate a lot with the registrar of voters, and we go to the naturalization ceremonies, and we register new citizens as they leave.
that was the other thing I forgot to mention.
It's so cool to do that. I mean, it's such a wonderful experience.
That really is. And we did that just last month, I think, and they registered over, well, and the other affiliates we were working with, over 600 voters. But it's really impressive, and people are so excited, and you know, it's wonderful to welcome people to becoming citizens.
So what can the Los Altos Community Coalition, the people in this room, do to support your organization a little bit more, and the efforts, especially like around the census and some of these things that you're working on? Is there something that the people in this room can do to help?
Well, actually, that's a good question. See, we're in the process of trying to figure out exactly how we're going to be reaching out, but we don't have those bite-sized jobs yet. So I would say contact the league, and we should know more in the next month or so, actually how we are going to reach out. You know, we'll probably be at like farmers market and other events where we'll be giving brief talks about the changes that are coming. So if you could reach out to us, then we should be able to let you know. Unfortunately, we can't tell you right this minute because we don't know.
May I just amplify? So at the present time, the league, there's a countywide coordinator, and she's working very closely with the county to develop strategies for outreach for the 2020 census. Similarly, we're working closely with the registrar of voters regarding the implementation of the Voters' Choice Act. In fact, tomorrow there is like a half-day briefing with the
Train the trainers.
Train the trainer from the registrar. So these are just sort of evolving, and we'll keep you posted as things evolve.
Yeah, we can send you, you know, do you have a contact that we could send our updates to?
Or join.
Yeah, or join, even better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the issues are very relevant to this whole community, so.
Well, and it would be lovely if we could come back maybe in 2 months and give, you know, our 10-minute update and provide opportunities where you could volunteer.
Excellent.
Yes?
I love the idea that you're going to the high school and registering the juniors. Is that the first time? Is this the first year you've done that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. We've been trying to do that for a while. Mountain View believes they're covered.
Okay.
They say they on one day a year they register in one of their classes, but Los Altos didn't have a similar program, so they have invited us in.
So if this is the first year, maybe we should do juniors and
and seniors.
I was just gonna say, you might just talk to them about being in the quad or something. My daughter's actually a senior, and I know she hasn't experienced that.
Well,
So if there's some way, I don't know, it's a great idea.
So this is what's gonna happen, are you talking about Los Altos High School?
Yes.
Okay, so actually this is a county, sort of a field study for a countywide program that's been done at Fremont Union High School, Palo Alto. Our issue is to get 16-year-olds, because we know they probably not registered yet. The information is going to be all over the school, so students will know about these programs and then can ask their teachers. But anybody can also, your daughter, you said? If she wants to do it now before she sees somebody at a, like the Mountain View Festival this this weekend, we're going to be signing up for it. At every farmer's market, they're signing up for it. But you can also do it online. Just go register to vote, on the subject line up there, and it'll bring up how you can register online. If she's 18 already, she's just going to register and vote in March.
I think the question is more how we get, being at farmer's market is great, but most of the kids have blinders on anyway, so how you reach out by going to the school, by going to the classrooms, and also it's interesting that you mentioned, yes.
Because this is like a field study, so many people, and so much time in the classrooms that they
allow,
will be allowed, works. We're concentrating on the 16-year-olds this year.
So is that considered pre-registration because they're 16?
As soon as they're 18, they
will be automatically registered?
They automatically, the registered voters
that's
puts them on it.
Thank you very much.
If they are supposedly, if they are, because we go in on September 17th, if on September 18th, say, they turn 17, they turn 17, and some kids do, they will be able to vote in the
next election,
November 2020 election.
Right.
So I'm just, you ready?
You may have already covered this, but did you cover giving out envelopes to register for absentee for seniors? Did someone ask that already?
No.
Seniors at the high school. So my kids went off to college, and all of a sudden they wanted to vote. And they were-
absentee ballot. You
Right,
do it
and they
online.
had it,
Absentee
right,
ballot.
but now, so now you can.
Yeah, you can do it online.
So it's still something
ask
good
for it
to
online.
communicate.
Yeah, you ask for it online.
Still good to let
And
people
the
know
same
and let
thing.
parents.
I was just about to mention that.
And let parents know. Yeah, a lot of parents don't know. It's interesting.
All right. We want to thank the League of Women Voters, and now we're going to turn to our second presentation. And today we're excited to have the local chapter of the American Association of University Women. So I'd like to start by just giving a brief background and then a little bit about our presenter. So first of all, if you haven't heard of AAUW, AAUW, American Association of University Women, offers action for equity, personal and professional growth, community leadership and service, and friendships. AAUW brings a powerful voice to critical issues affecting women and girls, including reproductive choice, sex discrimination, Title IX, healthcare, hate crimes. AAUW's policy work connects and rallies advocates at the local, state, national, and global levels to empower women and girls. With the member-voted public policy priorities as our guide, AAUW uses lobbying and grassroots efforts to push forward policies that break through educational and economic barriers for women. And I'd just like to introduce our main speaker, who is Vicky Reeder. She's a board member of the AAUW here in the local chapter. She's been a member of our local chapter for almost 50 years, participated as a newsletter editor, program VP, branch president, tech trek coordinator, and is currently serving again as part of the co-president's leadership team with Allyson Johnson and Claire Noonan. Allyson and Claire are also past presidents of the local branch, and Claire is active with the California AAUW. Vicky served as the program vice president in the early 90s and was involved in the state organization for many years. She served on the National AAUW board as program VP for 4 years in the late 90s, and her highlights include meeting Gloria Steinem, Texas Governor Ann Richards, Maya Angelou, Betty Friedan, and other feminist icons, and attending 2 meetings at the White House during the Clinton administration. So I didn't realize what a celebrity we really have in our community. But thank you all, and we're excited to hear your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, Gloria Steinem rode in my car. That was so exciting. Yes, yes. Hello, everybody. Here I am again. This is Allyson Johnson and Claire Noonan, and the 3 of us are the leadership team of Los Altos Mountain View AUW. I have to tell you, AUW is older than the League of Women Voters. We were founded in 1881, when very few women were able to go to college, and those that did were not welcome. In fact, the first study that AUW did was to debunk a book that had been written by a doctor. His thesis was that women should not go to college because if they did, all the blood would rush to their head and their reproductive organs would be deformed and they couldn't have children. So that was AUW's first project, and since then we can go ahead and so we've been working on these issues since then. Unfortunately, they aren't all fixed yet. It's taken a long time, and it's interesting that the League and AUW are both quite involved with women's suffrage. So this is a picture, I think, from the town crier. You know, back in the 80s, it was really great. We had about 500 members in our branch then. I'm in this picture wearing a hat for some reason, and so is this is Marie Young over there on the far right. And all of us the board was big and everyone was all fired up and we thought everything was going to be fine, and then it all kind of came to a halt in the 90s with when the Equal Rights Amendment was defeated, and we've been struggling a little bit since then. But you see, we still wear hats. So this is from all of us here are in this picture. We did an event on women's suffrage last December, and there's a song called Sister Suffragette, which we practiced and sang. But these are some of the things that AUW and Los Altos Mountain View has been involved in over the years. We helped found Friends of the Library, Music for Minors. The Children's Corner was a project that AUW started. Tech Time was an early science for Girl Scouts in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade after-school science club. Trek Science Camp is a national project that was started in Palo Alto. Every summer we send 7 or 8 girls from Los Altos Mountain View Public Schools to a week of hands-on science camp at Stanford, along with all the other AUW groups in Santa Clara County. So there are about 90 girls there for a week of hands-on science, which is quite fabulous. And yes, we do a lot of work with the League, and we are definitely going to be involved with the women's suffrage projects for next year. You can go on to the next slide. You want to say something, Claire?
I just wanted to say another member, Doreen Cohen, who actually works at not works, but volunteers at the Los Altos History Museum, and I got to talking, and we went over and talked to Eleanor when it first became big in AUW, all the website information and newsletters and so on like that, to talk them into celebrating locally the 100th anniversary. So I just thought that would be good to remember, and then we asked League of Women Voters because we knew that they were interested in that idea too. So now it's a sort of combined project that Gary was mentioning to you about. Now we're really trying to get suffrage memorabilia from especially 1920, but in California, of course, 1911, to have this suffrage exhibit at the Los Altos History Museum. So that's our latest project.
Right. Not everyone got suffrage in 1919.
Yes.
There was a lot of women were excluded. So this was us last January. See, still the hats. We do an event every year in Los Altos. For a long time, the Catholic Church here did a prayer walk on the anniversary of the passage of Roe versus Wade, which enshrined reproductive freedom into our laws, but the Catholic Church would walk down Main Street praying against us horrible women who support reproductive choice. And so we held a countermarch for a long time on the other side of the street, and now we do a rally. And those are the raging grannies. If any of you can become a raging granny if you want to join us. Okay, let's go on. Claire's going to talk. Can I pass this mic to you? See if we can do this. Go ahead. You can talk.
Okay. Well, now we are on to one of the big major AUW, along with League and all sorts of women's groups, especially after it started in 2016, after that election. And here's not only Washington, D.C., but also I think we have one from the at least the last San Jose Women's March.
No hat.
And no hat. But I think it's your daughter and your granddaughter.
That's right.
Are all in that one.
Yeah.
I was there too, but
Yeah.
I don't have a good picture. Anyway, so then, as you can see, maybe you want to talk about this one?
One of the ongoing issues that AUW has always tried to attack is the fact that women get less pay for equal work, depending on how many men seem to be in that line of work or not. It's very ironic. For example, a clerk used to be a very respected white-collar profession, but when women started taking it over, suddenly it becomes much less well-paid. Being a secretary was very well paid, but as soon as women began to come in as typewriters in secretarial positions, suddenly it becomes, well, originally a typewriter was the person who used the machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just as a computer originally was the person who computed, but then suddenly somehow the function went to the machine and the person who operated the machine was devalued. In similar ways, even in the medical professions, most of the doctors, or a high percentage of women doctors, go into general practice because this enables them to have a closer relationship perhaps to their patients. Guess which of the specialties is the least well paid in the medical profession? General practice. So we're working every day to try to make that particular problem go away. And of course, there's so much resistance. This slide just basically summarizes all of the ways that women in the workplace tend to be marginalized or put in supportive roles rather than being energized and put in leadership roles. We hosted a meeting last spring called Speak Up with Women, where we invited young working women to come and just talk with each other and us about the problems they met in the workplace. And one of the young women said, my boss came in and he invited all the other young men in the office to join him for golf that weekend, and he didn't talk to me. I play golf. I play a pretty damn good game of golf, but I wasn't invited. And that's one of the things that popped up on this graphic from our national. Oh, we didn't think you were interested in golf. Of these small marginalizing things.
Okay, now I'd like to talk to you about the Tech Trek Science Camp, because that has been for the last, I think it's been 20 years, one of the big projects for all the branches in Santa Clara County, actually in the entire state, and for a while it was a national, and it still is a national project, but California is one of the biggest state that has the most camps during the summers. And anyway, so this is a picture of some of our girls that a couple of years ago, and they go for 1 year, they're chosen from girls that apply through their science courses, and their teachers sort of recommend to them that they might enjoy this. And then we have a committee that interviews these girls, and then from that we have to consolidate it down to about 7 or 8 girls, depending on the year. And so they go, and as Vicky explained, spend a week just having the greatest time. I mean, I've been to watch them.
One of the things that is unusual about the way we've organized the camps is that the presenters to the girls are all young women, scientists from various professions, forensic scientists, astronomers, nuclear physicists, criminologists, but they are exposed to women as role models for these careers, not to men. So this gives them the idea that, hey, this is something I can do.
This.
This is not something that is just, I'll be the only woman in this masculine field. There are women who are already succeeding in this, so I don't have to be worried about breaking through huge barriers. Somebody else at least is beginning to pave the way.
Mm-hmm.
And this slide gives us just some of the success numbers from our alums.
Yeah, figuring the students in high school that take pre-calculus, unlike me, I didn't, but I didn't have this push. Anyway, Trek alumni, you find, as you can see in the slide, are 77% likely, but nationwide, the national average is only 37%. So that's pretty good. And anyway, this was our girls that just went this last year.
Yeah, they come from Egan Junior High, Block, and Crittenden in Mountain View. The 3 schools we select girls from. And we totally fund them. No one, your parents can't buy you a slot at this camp. You have to write an essay, you have to be interviewed by us, and then chosen, and then we totally fund through fundraising, and we are wonderfully supported by the Mountain View and Los Altos Kiwanis clubs, plus the Los Altos Rotary Club, which makes it possible for us to send 8 girls.
Okay, we have one other program that we, for the last couple of years, when we started to get to know about it, the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders. We've sent 2 girls from each year. We can support the registration for 2 girls. Usually we get them from Foothill. They come from Foothill College. One year we had them from De Anza College. And Tween Nguyen, who is the president, she often suggests girls to send. And so they really always come back in September to talk to us and tell us how wonderful the time was. And it's really a leadership conference to get students, women students who are in their student government and interested in those kinds of issues of leadership and maybe be an elected official or work in various different ways with government.
This conference is held in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And last year, I think one of the women that we sent had never been on a plane.
Right.
And that's the kind of people that we're pulling up to do these kinds of things.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting.
And this is a good opportunity for me to put in a plug for our next meeting, which will be September 28th, right here. 29th, the Sunday, the 29th in the afternoon. And it will be an opportunity for each of you to come and hear the stories of our Nick Whistle alumni who will be coming back to report, and also our Tech Trek alumni who will be coming back to report. And our featured speaker will be
Andrea Friend from in the business school, a PhD candidate at Stanford Business School, who's going to be talking about how to improve your communication and negotiation skills.
Which every woman needs.
Everybody.
Young and old.
By the way, men can join AAUW.
Yeah, same as League of Women
Everyone
Voters.
with an AA degree or higher. We've kept pushing to get rid of the the college degree requirement, and the members resist in some places.
All right, and one other program or project that the National helps get going is the National Student Advisory Council. And those are girls that join the national set of directors and so on. And actually this past year, a girl from Stanford has joined the team, but this is a year earlier that we have a photograph. So that's another.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
So we're not just a local or state organization. We have, in addition to the advocacy that we do in promoting STEM training for young girls and women, we also have a research branch. And we have funded research that has been tremendously impactful. For example, we funded the research about how girls can raise their hands like Hermione Granger in Harry Potter and practically be jumping out of their seat, but the teacher will call on a boy. And getting just the patterns of recognition of teachers brought this to teachers' attention that they didn't even realize they were doing this. We also funded research about bullying in schools, which had a seminal impact on the way discipline is handled and the way students and teachers are communicating with each other about behaviors. We have also funded, we are the largest giver out of fellowships for graduate research in the country.
Including funding for Marie Curie's research back in our early days.
Mm-hmm. And so we are still providing a great impetus for women researchers and scientists to be able to follow their dreams in places that one of our researchers did research on the impact of westernization in the Mongolian shepherding culture, for example. Doesn't sound like anything that might have an immediate impact on women's rights, but in the global view of things, those things will turn out to be important. We also have online a program called Work Smart that anyone can sign on to and register and take an online class in how to negotiate a pay raise, how to establish your own value, how to make yourself more visible and valuable in the eyes of your colleagues at work. And we've had 17,000 people online take that program. We passed out a lot of bookmarks at the volunteer fair a couple of weeks ago, and we passed those bookmarks about the WorkSmart site out to everyone from computer programmers who were feeling like they were being left behind, to teenagers who were looking to get better pay for their job that's going to fund part of their college fund. So this is a resource we've made available to everyone. Last month, we took a special project in hand. In San Francisco, we did a WorkSmart symposium to encourage people who were in that community to go through the WorkSmart training and improve their ability to negotiate. It's not necessarily who you know or what you know, but how you let people know what you know. So we're working very hard to fix this ratio where even with all the pushing and all the visibility of the Me Too movement and other things, we still only, as women, average 80% of the salary that men doing equivalent work do. And of course, there is the ongoing problem. We are requiring that the government of Iraq have at least 25% women in their legislative bodies and government. We, in the United States, are a very long way from having 25% of women in governorships, state legislatures, the House, the Senate, and obviously the presidency is a goal that we're still struggling to meet. So on all of these fronts, promoting education, promoting equity, we've been active in the community, in the state, in the country since 1881 in Los Altos. We broke off from the Palo Alto branch in 1952 because our branch was so big. And so we've been independent and a force in the community since the 50s, and I hope that all of you will show up at our September meeting, the 29th, Sunday, right here, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and learn a bit more. Thank you.
That concludes our presentation.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank both of our two presentations today, League of Women Voters and AAUW. I'm motivated, I'm excited by what I heard from both groups, and I hope everybody else is too. I think as a follow-up for us at the Community Coalition, with our follow-up email we'll send out to the entire group, we'll include the next 2 upcoming meetings, the links to the presentations. Thanks to our technical team, Larry and Norma, we've videotaped both presentations. So we're going to try to get that out to a wider audience and support both of you guys in your efforts as members of our coalition. So thank you again. Any further questions for either group right now, or shall we let these ladies go? Thank you so much again. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget, in 2 weeks from today, Joe Iyer, Los Altos Community Foundation, and that's going to be a great meeting too. We want to hear from Joe about all the upcoming exciting things with the foundation. Thank you. All right.